We will be going live shortly after Actually, I guess I don't have anything to do, so I guess we'll be going live immediately. Okay. Turn my desktop volume back up. Live scene 1. Okay, so right off the bat, here is the VOD request. This is one from Mad Hatter 999. It's another Platinum Hog VOD, this time from OpenQ. And this is one that I just received a request for, and funnily enough, it's doubled up on my my previous Plat Volskaya Hog VOD that I did yesterday, so it's a funny coincidence. This one's probably going to be shorter, because there's a decent amount of overlap there. But it should still be fun. So here is the Reddit post. Hey, I was wondering if someone could take a look at my hog play here and give me tips of what I did wrong, and maybe if there are other obvious problems with the team. I am 2700-ish on both tank and support, 2500-ish on DPS. OpenQ I'm 2800 right now, but I think I can get to diamond if I grind a few more games. We'll be looking at the blue team's hog, random hero. Hook accuracy was painfully awful this game, and it's obvious, even more painful watching us lose it when it was so close. Cool. Let's go and import the code. Yeah, the Overwatch League matches today were a hoot and a holler, so I might talk about those a little bit today. Okay.
Ready for battle.
On the high ground.
I'm probably yesterday when looking at the hog, I looked at very much the microplay and their individual positioning. Here, I'm probably gonna look at team positioning a little more too, just for the sake of edumacation and keeping some variety. I'll probably look at cooldown usage a little more because I didn't do that much, and talk about it at least, even if you get it right. And I'll probably review a little bit of the main concepts from yesterday. Yesterday, for anyone who didn't watch the VOD, the main concepts were positioning and maintaining positions where your team can give you supports, and trigger discipline, not using hook when you can't land the hooks. Sorry, give me one moment. Cool. Okay, I just want to make sure everything was fine and dandy here on the stream. Okay, I'm actually going to turn up my mic volume a little bit, because I think I'm a little bit on the dry side. Okay. Straight off the bat, comp. We have Hog Zarya, that's the good comp classic right now. Ashe Zen, that's a fine backline. Zen is very much centered on getting burst impacts, and usually in this meta, or in this ladder meta, you would run a Hog, Zarya, Ana, Ashe, and then the other DPS is kind of up for grabs. Other support is either going to be your Zen, your Lucio, or your Mercy. Baptiste is like, he's usable, but the problem is he doesn't give much utility. Like against a Hog, raw healing isn't going to do that much, and when you're playing double off tank, your team does not play grouped up generally. And if you do, you're usually not going to do so hot. So Batiste just generally can't get the value that he's looking for with this comp. But he's okay. He has immortality. He has sustain. Zen Bap is at least a very synergistic backline. It's the classic full spam comp backline. Because normally in a I gotta stop these usually in a traditional spam backline, you would be running Batiste, Zenyatta, and occasionally Brigitte, or no, generally Brigitte instead of the Zenyatta, only because of the anti-dive value. So now with a lot more of the meta shifting away from Brig, you'll probably be seeing a lot more Zen. If spam comp was hypothetically still usable. Which it might be now that Orisa's halt nerf got reverted, so we'll have to see how that shakes out. I like the Ashe Hanzo double sniper. It depends on how good the Hanzo is, of course, but he's never he's not a bad pick here. He can get a lot of spam damage, a lot of value as a whole, as long as he's taking separate angles from the Ashe. Enemy team's comp. I have no idea what's going on here. Looks like... Oh yeah, it's open queue. Right. Open queue. Okay. Your guys' comp is still fine for open queue. It's probably not as great, because I think there's not much drawback to using a main tank, I think, in open queue per se. But it also means that if you're running triple DPS per se, or like a max off-tanks DPS comp, it might be better to just run a ball with triple DPS or something. I don't know. I haven't looked at the open queue meta that much, honestly. I don't know if it's still some sort of pseudo wannabe goats comp or what. I reached a diamond there and then moseyed on out. But the enemy comp, the Symmetra is a throw pick for all practical purposes. They have the Ana Mercy classic backline. Pharah with the Mercy is a classic pick for if you're going to be using a high DPS comp, like a triple DPS comp, just because she keeps one of your healers safe for all practical purposes, because she gives the Mercy the vertical escape option. So it's pretty nice having the Pharmacy, and it's solid on this map. It's okay. You don't get that many protective areas. Like if you have like the Ashe in the back somewhere, Pharah's gonna have a hard time moving in, but she can really easily move in from this side angle and just sit here, barrage, like pummeling your DPS off of the middle spot, and then even take a full rotation to the back. Hog is Hog. I don't think I have to say any explanation for why he's there. They're essentially not playing a tank at all. It's just a bulky DPS comp. Tracer is a great pick also with high DPS because she's another independently functioning DPS who needs no peel. So as a whole, I like the enemy comp. Your win con is hooking the Ana or just punishing the Hog, because if you punish the Hog, they have no point presence at all. Symmetra is poop at that, like without pockets. Like she needs to have a bunch of shields, a bunch of resources poured into her because she's super squishy. So it's always good to think about what your win cons are at the start. Like your team's win con is just take angles and play it slow because you're playing a spam comp essentially. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I'm gonna look at it from the overhead, and then I'll probably do a quick run through from first person later too. This is how I do most of my VOD reviews though.
4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Aqua, good stuff.
Defend objective A.
So that's a good pick from the Hanzo. Zarya's feeding. This is absolutely feeding. Yes, you get a little bit of charge, but the problem is that your bubble is worn out by the time you get here, and you're not going to get safely inside the choke when they have a Hog. Like, look at this. I guarantee she gets hooked. She did not get hooked. That's a shocker. The hog must have wasted his hook. Okay, this is good positioning from you. Play behind truck. See, this is the advantage here. This is what I want you playing. So I touched on this in the VOD yesterday, where you want them to walk into you, especially on hog. Hold up, I might have a burp coming. Never mind. Leftovers are happy where they are. So especially against hog, you want to be playing these safe angles, because if he hooks you here, like the Hanzo, he's fine. He can get the Harmony Orb because he's in Zen line of sight. He can get the BAP healing. He could get an Immortality Field. That was used already, but still. Get Bubble from Zarya. Backup from you and Ashe just in terms of firepower. Like, he's entirely safe almost, even if he gets hooked, unless he just gets hit by the one-shot combo. Meanwhile, their hog dies, like, because even with his supports here, it doesn't really matter because your team has your support. But if you go out here and then get hooked back here, your team can't support you. So essentially, like, stay where your team can support you, even when you know you're potentially going to get hooked. And yeah, you could be like, oh yeah, if I'm right here, I can hook their hog first, and then he'll be right here. It's like, well, yeah, but he can also just back out, so it doesn't actually ensure the kill, which is the trigger discipline that I talked about last VOD. So there's our review session. Don't hook things that you can't kill, generally, unless it's very high value. Big anti, don't poke when antied. This is getting really aggro. Be careful, man. You use take a breather, you back up. Like, do not play aggro with take a breather down. It's just like Winston jump and bubble, Zarya's personal bubbles, Reinhardt's shield. You can't afford to play aggro without take a breather, because if you get hooked, you're dead. I don't mind Hanzo's spot, but it's a little questionable because it's just not doing much. It's not a very useful sightline. I would much rather he does like little like peek above windows, shoot, drop, etc. Or just wait. Ashe has a really good position. This is where I would want the Ashe. I usually like to play it behind here because it's a little safer, but this is A-okay, 100% good. Same with BAP and Zen. You always want to play it by the forklift usually. Well, no, not always. There's very few alwayses in Overwatch. But it's very useful playing behind forklifts because it gives you a quick rotation back into this back room. Because if you start back here, you have a really limited sight line. Starting up here is okay too, but you have a little less sight lines in to choke. So it's a little dicey. It's a little safer, a little dicier. Sometimes if you're BAP, you can be up here with an aggro healing position until they start to pressure you. But like in general, this is usually the juicy spot to hit those supports, and then you just back up to here when the fight starts. Then sometimes you can actually be up here. Like you can rotate up from indoors to up, the like top back during the fight. And that can be a really oppressive position for as a support if they don't have much vertical mobility. But it's not useful by the choke. Just thought I'd mention that though. Yeah, I should just drop to the back if she's being pressured by Pharah. Like the problem is, she's getting pressured by Pharah, but she drops down to where she still can be a hit. She should just drop back. There's no reason to like take the duel with the Pharah when they're not actually engaging as a team. This, oh hold up, okay, I missed the critical thing as you're doing something rough in the front line. I imagine you get hooked. Yeah, see, there's the greed. You poke in here, it's too greedy. Just play it safe, play it slow, because as soon as you get hooked out of your team sightlines, you are dead meat. I would be shocked if you survive this. Because here's the thing. Even if you get back into here, using your take a breather, the enemy team just follows you in. And they're under no pressure because you have to turn around to get out as fast as possible. And it's as simple as that. And you also end up burning a lot more ult charge. Thank you for... Oh, hey, what's up, Baggins? I'm just reviewing some hog play here. Okay. Back on the dice random here. So as soon as you peek out into this no man's land here, like that is just trouble. So I would rather you have played it here, here, or here. Any one of the off angles, because as soon as you're on hog and you're like feeding in main, yes, there's like a little bit of push from some people to play hog almost just more like a main tank right now or whatever. But you end up feeding a lot more ult charge, and while I'm probably gonna have to watch some hog VODs from these Overwatch League matches just to get an idea of if they're playing him differently. Generally, you want to be playing him with the flow of your hook cooldown and take a breather, and without playing super aggro into the front line. So yeah, you survive, but it's a miracle they pursue you in. They probably get the kill here. Okay, Immortality Field keeps you alive too, so that's fortunate. I don't know what their sim is doing. If Zen just backs out here, he should be fine. Unless the map doesn't have any attention. Yeah, so Hanzo's positioning was really questionable here too. Same with Ashe. Like the Ashe I said earlier should have dropped down instead of going forwards when the Pharah was hitting her, because she just stayed in the Pharah's sightlines. Hanzo looks like he kind of made the same mistake. Like they're being way too aggro with their angles. They could have just played it back. No, it's not a scrim. It's just a ladder VOD. But, so it's the hog player random hero. And it's open queue. But he asked if I could just take a look at overall what the team could have done too. And since I did a Plat Hog VOD on Volskaya yesterday, coincidentally too, I figured I'd toss in a little more team stuff too, just for the sake of edumacation. Yeah, there's, see, this is once again, if you get hooked in the sightlines of your team, it's all fine and dandy. Yeah, so see, Zen is fine, Sim is feeding, she's not doing anything, she's literally being a bot. She might get a tick, but that's even completely fine, like it doesn't matter if you give up a tick to keep up the frontline pressure. Realistically, your Zarya probably could have peeled back earlier and denied the tick, but because it's just ladder, you can't really expect that coordination, and I'd much rather you don't let the front line through than go back and all try and storm one Symmetra and then realize that you gave the entire front area of this point for free.
Justice reigns for...
Nice hook on the Pharaoh. Yeah, just play it slow. This would probably be another... Oh, nice. The Sim didn't even get a tick. So, you kind of have two routes here. You either peel back to point, hook the Ashe, and take a breather on the Bob to stall out the progress. It's an okay option. Or you hook this hog and beat him up with your team, which is really the option I like better, because as soon as their hog's dead, because they're running the triple DPS comp, they don't actually have any point presence, as I said. And, like, securing the hog secures the win on the fight. Like, Bob is like, yeah, he's kind of urgent-ish, but he's only going to last for 1, maybe 2 ticks most on the point. And if you had a shield tank, I would say definitely you would want to play it on point a little more. But it's hard to recommend that. I guess I'll just have to see where it plays out. Hold up, I think I might have a... Nope, never mind. No birds on the windowsill. Okay. Okay, let's see where this goes. Mercy reses. It's just whatever. It's unfortunate it happened in the middle of your team. Did you have... Take a breather.
Justice reigns for... Get in there. Do something.
Oh yeah, so what happened here is you were indecisive and then had some questionable decision making. I mean, it happens to the best of us. And I wish I could just... Here, let me turn off the game sound for a moment while I explain this. So here's the cut of the sale here. So first, let me rewind to the exact moment. You take the damage. Go back to here. Good hook on the Pharah. So here's the problem. Ash sends in the Bob. So here's the cut of the, like, here's your options. You come back here. This is great because your cooldowns are down, and you don't want to be engaging without your cooldowns. So I like that you waited here. But then you're looking at the Bob. That's fine. Check that there's no one else coming there. But I think you had your hook cooldown here. No. Okay, so not quite. That's still fine. You could have waited for a moment and hooked to the Ash. I think I would have liked that option. But then here, right here, this is where the mistake is made. You kind of wishy-washy here. You should have hooked this. You should have hooked this. You had hook off cooldown. As soon as the Hog uses take a breather and you're with your team at all, hook it. He would have had only half health. He's point blank. Easy hit. And you still have an Echo here, a BAP. Even if the BAP isn't like looking at you right now, same with the Zarya, you would still probably be able to kill the Hog. And you had take a breather online in a moment too. So you still could have beaten the Hog even if he hooked you back. Like it's a win-win situation of hooking the Hog, securing the kill. Instead, he gets his ult off. And then this is the second mistake, is you should have used take a breather immediately here. Like as soon as you're getting pressured with the high damage, you have to take a breather. You cannot afford to be pushed out and just killed for a greedy hook. Like I think you were trying to hook the Bob off the point, but it would have been better just leave him there and give them the tick and then go for the recontest. Because even from here, you have a Hog, an Echo, and a Zarya. You still probably could have gotten a couple picks even before the point got flipped over, and then potentially slowed them down on the point B. Like it gives you a couple more options at least. It's unlucky that your BAP was here instead of a little drawn back or something, or just anywhere else, and that your Zen got picked off early in the fight too, and your Hanzo, like, is already probably lost. But just for in the future, don't be too greedy with your hooks. Like, prioritize just staying alive first. You don't need to go in for the aggressive hooks and take a bunch of damage. You don't need to do some clutch play hooks. You just need to stay alive, provide consistent value. Consistency is more valuable than clutch plays. Like, I hate to say it, but you can have a player like has some insanely clutch plays, like I'm trying to think of a good example. Okay, let's say Nico. Nico from Overwatch League, Paris Eternal, Flex DPS. He's really well known as being like a pretty strong flex support. Flex DPS, who used to be with Rogue and now is on Paris Eternal, and he has some really good plays. Like he's a solid player in the clutch moments, but the problem is he's really inconsistent, and it means that like when compared to someone like, let's say BQB on the Florida Mayhem. I don't know if you watch Overwatch League Random Hero, but BQB is like, he's a consistent hit scan. Yeah, he has some clutch plays, so it's not quite the exact analogy. But my point is just, it's usually better to have a consistent player who's always doing their job and nothing more, than to have someone who goes above, who tries to go for these wild clutch plays and then fails at them half the time. Like, it sounds brutal, but that's just how the world works with Overwatch here. Like, you ideally you want both. You want the clutch plays and the consistent bottom. But above all else, just prioritize doing your job and staying alive first.
Objective lost. New defense
So you get the point
point.
as you'd expect. Okay, you're kind of aggro here with the hooks. Or positioning, I mean. Yeah, play behind boxes. That's a good cover point.
I got you pegged.
Zarya's playing too aggro. So, though, like, the problem with holding up here, it's fine if you have, like, a Reinhardt and you're choosing to play close choke, even if it's a pretty ballsy maneuver. But the problem is Zarya, she can't control angles. Because, like, the thing is that bubble only lasts for, like, 2 seconds-ish. I don't remember the exact value. And then it's on cooldown for 8 to 10 seconds or whatever, depending on the bubble. And that means that you have that long of a time where she just doesn't have any defenses. She's probably trying to, like, she's probably thinking that she can go for some cheeky big grav. But even if she got a grav out here, no one on your team is ready to follow up on it. I mean, I guess you have grav dragons, so I guess you could. But for the most part, in most scenarios, I wouldn't recommend doing an aggressive grab out here. You want to wait till they engage. Your positioning, it's a little over aggro. Whoa. Oh yeah, here's the, I guess this is full hook length. Wow, yeah, that thing just goes all the way to next universe over. Where was BAP? BAP was... Where was BAP? Oh, he was over aggro with his positioning. Yeah, I mean, it was a damage boosted Ashe, so there's not much he could have done. But really, on support, you want to be playing here, and then drop if you need to see main, or you play back here, close to the wall. Because when you're on support, you want to have as much visibility as you can. Like, as in, don't give the enemies angles. This actually applies for Widow too, is... Like, if this Ashe can see you at all, let's say they're, no. If they can see you at all, then you're in a bad position generally, because you can't afford to be caught out in these long sight lines, because then this happens. Your main support dies right before the fight. And see, you're fine because your team is with you. Oh, this is unfortunate. There's no way Zarya survives that. Unless Hog goes out and chases an Echo instead. And then the Echo almost escapes too. Yeah, so you're holding too close to choke here. It works, and you can get some picks off it. And this is a nice hook. But if you're playing here, you just don't have that many good sightlines. Like, you're not bringing the fight to them. You don't need to. Like, yeah, at like high levels and like really high ranks, you can go ham with teamwork and aggressive plays and like take the fight to them with ults and whatnot. But it has to be an actual strategic decision. It's not, oh hey, they're not coming in, I need to get kills. Like, no. You are fighting against the clock on defense. It's as simple as that. They are fighting against the clock. The fastest way for them to fight the clock is to kill you, and the most effective way. The best way for you to avoid the clock and to stall it out is don't die. Let them come to you. So there's no reason to take these aggressive fights on defense when they're not even engaging. Like, once they engage and they're actually trying to commit to capture point, that's when you want to go in. Because otherwise you risk giving them a gap, an opportunity. Yeah, see, Zarya dies here because she was over aggro and doing weird stuff and caught out. Echo died because she was doing weird stuff. She should have just stayed on the high ground up here, or taken safe angles, maybe even like flown up here, just dropped some stickies instead. And now, look at this. Your team doesn't have their Grav Dragons ready. Because, their Zarya's dead. Now Hog gets to ult. I bet Hanzo probably either dies here or blows his dragon early. Yep, he's dead. Grav Dragon's gone. You get slept, it's kinda whatever. Panic trance or transfer survival. Doesn't really make a difference. I hope your Echo manages to get their ult, because that could be pretty key. Yeah, you don't want to use your ult, honestly. So like Hog Zarya is like, oh yeah, you fundamentally think it's a good ult combo. But for the most part, it just doesn't usually cut it because you're really frail and vulnerable in your ult. And if you have someone in a grav, you better believe they are going to focus down whoever is trying to follow up on the grav. So you either need to have actual coordination with Bubbles timing and like actual backup for you, or well, that's pretty much all you can do. You have to do a coordinated ult with Hog or play it really safe. Like when you're the only person left on the point, you can't really afford to use your ult because, like, I hate to say it, but you're probably losing more value by using your ult than if you had just held on to it and just not used it. Because, like, if you had not used your ult there, let's take a look. Like, you double back here, get slapped, that's fine. Yeah, you gotta work on the follow-up shot because that needed to be a kill right there. I mean, you'll at 61 HP, but I don't... Like, I guess you're gonna die anyways, kind of. Did you use Take a Breather before the nade hit?
Come on.
Yeah, that needed to be a kill. Yeah, you shouldn't have used Take a Breather here. You should have just ducked into this corner really tight, or maybe tried to get around this corner. Like, stall it out as long as you can because you're antied. Like, there's... And you know you need that. So this was the problem with playing really up aggro in this choke. Is by the time you actually get to the fight on point, by trying to run back, you used your hook and missed it on the Ana, like you missed the kill, which it's like, whatever. But then you have to use your Take a Breather here too. And now you have no cooldowns and the enemy team is brawling all over point. Yeah, and Hanzo just questionable dragons.
Justice. Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
And it's just kind of a snowball too, like your team is caught on the back foot, they have an ult advantage from the one fight. It's just whatever.
Helden sterben nicht.
Score 0-2. Switching sides. Ready for battle.
Okay.
Questionable charge.
5, 4.
They're on the same comp, except they have an Ashe instead of Tracer. It's probably more consistent on defense because you already have the space. Like, Tracer can create space more on her own by just being a nuisance in the backline. Ashe, she likes to already have the space ideally, and needs some created if she doesn't. So it works nicely here on defense because you already have control of the map, like right off the bat. Normally, it would be pretty hard attacking. Like normally it's pretty hard with off tanks to make space, or if not impossible, except by getting kills. So that's why it's usually a lot better of a comp on defense. Triple DPS follows the same idea of take the angles. You want the map control. You want the map control, and you don't have that many options to take map control back.
3, 2, 1.
Your comp,
Attackers incoming.
and it's the same, just double,
Defend
just Ash
objective
instead of
A.
a Widow instead of the Ash. I don't love it, mostly because Widow is less consistent than Ash. But it's okay. Like Ash and Widow are more or less exchangeable. This is good. Going around right side is alright. Let's find to get hooked there. Their hog might just straight up die here. Okay, see. So he gets out. Like, he doesn't try and follow up on that because he knows you're not going to die. And, like, that's a smart play by him. So here's the conundrum of, how do I attack when on hog Zarya? The answer is, you just have to get a kill. It's just like there's no other choice. Because you can't just walk through. You'll feed and get CC'd and purpled and whatnot. You don't have any way to draw attention or pull weight away from the front line. So it's really just pray you can get a kill. I would be looking at the Symmetra here, just because she's small, squishy, easy, or a hog, because he's unshielded. If you could pull him and do the jolt to the side thing here, and like pull him here, your team could just annihilate him. Like let him, or let even just wait here and let him peek out and then hook him. Dead meat. Like you want to be abusing these frontline picks, because as soon as the hog dies, Mercy's gonna try for a res, or honestly if the sim dies too, she's probably still gonna try and res it. And then you have an opening on the front line to kill the Mercy, hopefully. And then everything kind of crumbles from there. Bab gets too aggro with positioning. He should have just been waiting on the side here. There was no reason for him to be up top. Good hook. That's what I'm talking about. So that's the pick you need. Widow's a bot. She's not playing by a corner, and that's kind of just like the criminal error. Because if you don't have a corner, you got nowhere to go when you're under pressure. Like she's literally in the middle of this flat area where she thinks she's gonna go. Like if you miss, that gives you like you're giving yourself one shot to kill the Pharah because she kills you in two. So if you miss your one shot, like that's not a situation you want to put yourself in. You don't want to put yourself in the situation where you have to hit every single shot or you're dead. It's not, oh yeah, kill them faster and they can kill me. And it's like, no, that's not good positioning. It's not a good fundamental understanding of the game.
This will heal you.
Unlucky that Moira dies there. So here, your BAP is down, your Moira is down, your Widow is down. What do you want to be doing? Answer is waiting. You can't push in with 3. Sorry, I'm getting some water. They have 5. They don't have any point presence though. So your best choice is either spawn camp the hog in a duel, like by kind of just chilling like here maybe and hoping he comes back their main, or just wait. Like there's no harm in waiting. It's better and more efficient to set up your pushes to take up a lot of time and have a lot of setup if it means they'll be saving you in terms of numbers of pushes. Like better to have one successful push than cap it on the 3rd push after 2 unsuccessful ones, setting you behind an old economy and all that. So like just wait, you have the front space. Once again, Hanzo is being impatient again, and that's just how it is a lot of the times with DPS at this rank, or really everyone at this rank. Everybody's kind of impatient. Because he's not playing by corner, he's not playing safe. He should have been behind truck or in here, or even in here, flanking through here. He could even like kind of just chill in here maybe, but anything except exposing himself to the Pharah and the Ash. But that's what he does. So that's kind of just unfortunate. So now you should probably just try and stick your Rosaria. Do not try and move in. It's 2v5. And now, is their hog back? Where's their hog? He just teleported through. You're pushing in on 2. Yeah, see Zarya? She went too deep. That was a mistake. She shouldn't have gone past this corner at all. Let alone even past here. Because past here means that your team isn't going to have easy line of sight to you even when they come back. And past here, this is suicidal because it means you're not going to cover. Because this is not cover. It isn't. Not the health pack. Because look, everybody can see you here. Yeah, you can duck behind here, but it's not going to take very long for him to move in because you have to go past this window again to escape. Or and you can't grab the health pack without being seen either. So now you at least fall back in the right direction. But there wasn't really any reason to go for like the sim there. Like it's not a terrible pick to try for because it would have been nice value if it did work. But if it meant you and Zarya getting picked off, that's not really what I'm in for. That is lucky that you didn't hook you. See, and now you're forced to give up all the space. When realistically, you, Hanzo, and Zarya probably could have held this this zone if you just played really passively. Because Moira has a pretty quick respawn. Bap can even jump over this middle building. It wouldn't have been that bad. But now you're in that same conundrum of, oh rats, I have to get some opening pick again to actually get through choke. Hanzo is feeding again. See, no corners, no escapes, only death. I would much rather have him on, honestly, just the low ground. Like, cause he might even be able to like get a pick on the Ash from this angle, or on the Sim and Ana from here. Like if he peeks out here and then does his lunge jump back into cover here, it's still better. Or you can even go here. This is a nice long sight line through this doorway. He could probably force the hog out or the Sim. Like they'll be shuffling around and probably vulnerable at some point. Like leave the farmer suits a Widow. She's on a nice flank here. This is really good if she can hit her shots. But you have to make sure that you're engaging when this Widow is trying to pressure. Beautiful shots from the Widow. That was a huge play. Yeah, so they make the right choice to vacate as soon as they're getting pressured here. So now I hope that you guys eliminate the hog.
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
Ooh, that is high risk, high reward. Nice. Okay, that was cutting it really close with your ult. I like the aggro play because you had the Zarya support. I'm glad that your Moira was there to follow up and heal you. She did not need to coalescence there, but it's kind of a panic because you're so low. It's kind of whatever. Widow carried this fight though. She carried it by removing the threat off from the off angle, pulling attention out, getting the initial pick, and then she also kills the Widow and sorry, not the Widow, the Ashe now, and the Ana. Like it's as simple as that. You have to get the picks with this comp. That's just how it is. And the way you get picks is by taking off angles. And yeah, Hog Zarya, you can't really off angle from choke, but you can kind of go in here, shuffle around a bit, go for a hook here, throw things up, toss it to the wind, see what catches. If you're on the DPS, you can go up here, you can go over here, take the angle here. Like this was an ingeniously well played angle. Here, here, even rotate all the way around here. Like pretty much anything works. You just have to get the pick and get map control.
Clearing the area.
Yeah, see, and then Farrah tunnel visions on the Widow and just feeds.
Objective lost. New defense point. Objective B.
I hope your Widow, Oh, nice, they found the pick. Yeah, I was gonna say I was hoping that the Widow would, or get a pick on the Pharaoh there. Gets a pick on the Mercy too. This is time to move in. Ignore the Chaser or just throw a shot at her and force her out because she'll have to recall. Hook the dude in main. Oh, this is an over-ambitious hook. I do these all the time. Don't try and do these. It's once again the trigger discipline of you're not gonna hit the hooks. I do it all the time. I'm like, oh, let me get that long distance juicy hook land. It doesn't work 90% of the time. It looks really cool when it does, and it can be really high value. But if you don't need that hook, don't use it because it would have been more valuable if you just waited and then hooked the ulting hog who's at a 2/3 HP. Push in. You guys are up 2, and now you have the Tracer too. Push in, play aggro, kill the sim. Big pick, big pick. This is great. Now just watch for Barrage because you know that they're gonna have it because their fair was doing a bunch of stuff. She might just solo Barrage. No, never mind. I thought she'd solo Barrage the Widow for BM. There it is. So like here's the issue of everybody kind of looking different directions. Bappa's kind of feeding here. He should have been, like, you don't want to, he probably could have gone away from the ulting fair is all I'm saying. Usually if there's like a strong DPS on you and you're on support, it's generally a pretty good idea to just ignore them. I know it sounds stupid because then they'll just kill you. But unless you actually can land the shots and kills, if it means teammates are gonna die, it's better to ask for help from your teammates than turn your attention away and then let your teammates die and you die if you fail on the mechanics. Yeah, on ladder it can be a little less consistent to do that, or a lot less consistent, and then you generally want to just play for your individual survival. But kind of the point still stands that play safe, play conservative, keep space. So as soon as that happened, you guys lose this. You don't have your main healer, and you don't have your Widow. So unless you get 2 picks really quickly here, it's not winnable. Yeah, so as soon as Hanzo goes down, that's definitely not winnable. You have 3, so you don't want to invest whole hog here. This is 2 CP. If you only have 3 left on point, you can't win it. Like, not with 5 people around the point. They have all the map control. All the numbers advantage. There's no reason to invest any more resources in this. I would honestly even say just jump off the map. Because there's nowhere you're going to get out. Because they have long range and good pursuit damage. And you'll end up feeding ult charge if you use take a breather or whatnot. So yeah, you just want to get out. Does that actually secure the other tick though? No, okay, yeah, you had your 2 ticks already, so that's actually a great first push. Like, just go ahead and take that and get out.
Der Kampf ist noch nicht vorbei.
So, Widow gets 2 picks, but this is kind of... Brief delays. So, like, the problem with the Widow's picks here is that the team can't follow up on them. They're great picks, and they might give your team an opportunity to move in. But you're back here respawning. Zarya isn't in your choke. Moira isn't in your choke. Hanzo can't do anything. My guess is Hanzo's probably going to feed to the hog because he's like, let's go in. There it is. He feeds the hog thinking, let's go in. Now you're finally all here. But once again, it's 2 CP. They're already going to be respawning by the time you move in. Good hook. So now you have 5v5. So see, like, even with those huge 2 picks at the start and the trade with the hog for the Hanzo, you're still not at a huge advantage because the 2 picks just come right back. And then Widow dies. You get the tick maybe? No, there's no way you do. I'd be shocked if you do. Panic ults, panic ults. If Zarya had invested grab, you guys would have gotten it right here, though, I think. They made a mistake by holding out to that. Like, if you're going to go for it, go for it. If you're not going to go for it, don't. Like, you need to make a decisive call on if it's winnable or not. Because, like, see, you're still kind of feeding here. And I know it's really harsh saying that it's feeding. But you're 3 dudes on a 2 CP map. Like, yeah, they only have 2, so it's probably still winnable. Because you just killed the Tracer and the ulting Genji or whatever. But it's not something I'd recommend. Because, like, see, you're forced back again. Their Pharah's back. It should just, this is probably just a sloppy 2 CP fight, and it's just gonna burn a lot of time. Yeah, so you eventually get it, but it was a really sloppy fight. It would have been nice to just, if the Hanzo had just been more patient, you guys had just been more patient, they still would have had to back up from choke after your Widow got the 2 picks. Because if they were up here, they suddenly don't have the man advantage to hold if you start to push in, and they have to drop back to here. So this still gives you a free entry, the 2 picks from the Widow. It's just, you can't get over aggro and impatient because then you end up feeding. Well, I got some really angry parakeets in the background. Yeah, sorry about the long cutout earlier. That was family members.
Attacker ready for back. 5, 4, 3, 2.
I'm gonna hurry this up because I'm a little short on time. But
Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
good pick from Widow. Good pursuit. Good pursuit. This is beautiful, beautiful. Nice.
Objective lost. New defense point. Objective B.
Once again, like, this Widow is making huge plays. And see, they have to back up from main because then they die. Like, this hog is going to die. I pray that he dies. He dies, thank goodness. But Zarya is getting really over aggro here. They didn't realize that everyone is still struggling to get the hog. They're probably gonna get slept or something here and then they just die. Okay, fortunately they don't, but then the hog gets rezzed behind. That's a big problem. So for you,
Objective A
let's
captured.
see what you could have done here.
New defense point. Objective B.
This is a good flank. Use your take a breather first before the reload there. That was some severe danger and forced out lamp from your team. Don't go for the hooks that you can't hit and can't get kills from. Like, hooking the Sig, it's not a guaranteed kill. It's not really that high value compared to just shooting him. Then if you add the hook for Ana, That would have been high value. Or for this, you could have hooked the Reaper potentially. Ulting at low HP. I think you were at like 400. You want to use Take a Breather first and then use this. So there's a little bit of micro mismanagement there.
30 seconds remaining.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Yeah, someone's gonna have to touch, and yeah, I'll have to be. There's nothing you can do about that. Yep.
Initiating match.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for the follow. I assume that was you, Vulasdorf. I'm just doing a quick VOD review here. It's probably gonna be over in a couple of minutes because I have something that I have to do soon. But I've been streaming pretty regularly, so you'll probably be able to catch me some more.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Okay, so right here, aggro positioning once again. Remember, all you have to do is just play it safe. Don't let them clutch. Don't let them get those picks. They have to come to you. You do not have to come to them. That is a really good hook. See, forced him back. Almost got the kill. It's fine that you didn't because you actually have no cost to yourself. Zarya's playing super aggro. That's just kind of scaring me. I hope that only the Ashe peels back here, because if you peel back too and the Moira, that's too much, yeah. So good job focusing frontline still. Good hook. Excellent, this is really good. Yeah, your team is just straight up playing better than them right now. That was unfortunate. See, aggro positioning here. It's kind of like whatever. You're fine since you're on the truck. It would have been better to play behind it though, because then when you duck out like for the hook and you miss it, you can just be right behind it again and safe. Yeah, fall back, fall back, fall back. I don't know if you're using Take a Breather or if you have it. Let's take a look real quick. Okay, you'll have it in a moment. Like, just play it really safe for this moment. Use it. Yep. Now play it safe. You don't have Take a Breather anymore. Like, you have to play it really safe when you have to take a breather, or when you don't have it ready and you are going to need it soon. See, because if you... Oh. Let's see, what did you throw your hook out here? Good hook, yeah. Reload. Yeah, you didn't need Take a Breather there actually. You were pretty much fine. That hook also wasn't really like that necessary. They're not engaging. They're just poking. They're looking for that primary first skill, so don't give them it. Because see, you don't have your hook now for this guy. And you're kind of spamming some meaningless spam damage and choke. Now you don't have it for this guy either. And he kills your Hanzo and almost you too. But then unfortunately you have the immortality. But I imagine you die right after because you're being zoned out. Oh, never mind, you kind of pop off with Moira. But yeah, I dig that. It was a costly fight, but it's good. Now, so here you can combo the Zarya and Hog ults because you have the map control and you can like play it really safe. Like if you grab right here, you can ult right here and then just duck back, and you're completely safe from their damage. Dragons, like grab dragons is the classic, but you don't need to do that because your Hanzo doesn't have dragons yet, and it's also pretty useful for zoning out point. Unfortunate. That was a good play from this Sig. It's a really bad bob. You guys should have bopped point instead, because if she had put a bob like right here, this Reaper, this Ana, they'd be in serious trouble. By bobbing here, like they can just walk right past it. It doesn't have any good long sight lines. All it does is zone out there, Ash, maybe at best. Looks like you got slept up there again. Unfortunate. Yeah, just try and stall point or just jump off the map.
60 seconds remaining.
Unlucky missing on the hook, that's fine. Then this one fight, I'm assuming, is where it all just boils down.
Objective lost.
So they only have 1 minute. That's one fight and one scrappy fight at best. You have 2 CP. So you don't have, and you have a pick here. Just play it really passive, super passive, like all the way back on point. There's no reason for you to play aggro here. They're a man down. You have some key ults in the Zarya ult and just the Zarya ult, but that's still really key because you have the Ashe Dynamite to follow up on it and stuff. They only have 50 seconds. They can't contest if they mess this up. They won't be able to contest with the Reaper until 30 seconds or so, probably even. Oh, probably 40, but this is a foolish move. This is the stupidest move that your teammate could have made here. This is actually the worst move. Because no one's here to follow up on this. You didn't need the kills. It would have been better just to have the stagger. They're playing super aggro. This actually probably just lost the point. This actually legitimately probably just could have lost the point here. And they're still playing aggro. They still don't get out even when they barely are surviving on the edge of their toenails. And then they die for it. They don't die. I'm shocked that Zarya did not survive. This is why they're still in Plat on open queue, that Zarya. Your play is fine here. It doesn't really, like, you're staying within choke. Your Zarya pushes aggro, so you have to push aggro too. If a teammate goes in too deep, you go in too deep too. Like, you're all in this together, because a person feeding is feeding, but if you're feeding together, then it's just a bad strategy, which is still better than feeding. See? Break feeding. Like this aggro. You're going to aggro. You're giving them openings that you cannot afford to give them. And you are going to aggro here too. Like, you know that there's 4 of them out here. You guys are worth 4 of them out here. You're taking the fight to them in an even fashion that isn't necessary. Zarya's gonna die here too. Zarya's being super aggro again. She gets the pick, but it's scaring me.
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
Fall back, all the way to point, all the way back 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 to point. Yeah, and that's what happens, because your backline is wide open. You know they have to go to point. There's 3 seconds left. All you have to do is keep them off point. That's all you have to do when it gets down to the nitty-gritty like this. You just have to keep them off point. You don't need to play far up. Just play point, man, because you know they're going to have to come to you. You would have been able to hook the Reaper. It would have been an easy hook. He slows down while he's doing it too. Or even just shoot him, because with enough firepower on him, he could have died because there was the immortality that would have saved your team for a bit. I imagine what happens here is Sig cuts onto point. You survive the bob, probably. Yeah, that's that.
Victory.
So, in short, the biggest concept here is, yeah, you can always do the trigger discipline here. You can always afford to do the passive waiting and whatever. But don't give the enemies a chance to clutch. Do not give the enemies a chance to clutch. That's like my main focus point for you. Just play patient, man. Think about what the enemy team needs to do. Okay? Like, if you're on a escort map, they need to push the payload past a certain area. If they're on a 2CP, They need to capture the points or they need to defend the points. You can play around that. You know what they are going to have to do. So if they are needing to play the points, you don't need to play super far up and go super aggro because you're playing against the clock. You want to burn as much time as possible. You don't need kills to do that. They are losing by standing in choke there and not shooting you. So by offering yourself up to them, it's a really risky thing. So I would focus on that above all else. Friendly reminder of cooldown management, and just make sure that you're using your hooks that you hit and your take a breathers that are high value, and not engaging when you don't have hook and take a breather. Because if you're engaging without those ults, or sorry, without those abilities, you're a liability and you're an ult feeder. You're gonna just give them a lot of free ult charge and be at risk. And that's that. I may or may not stream in the next couple of days. Not gonna get around to Overwatch League discussion that I was thinking of doing today, but that's okay. Hope there's some informative stuff here. I'll write up a summary post tomorrow, I guess, if you feel like you need it. And that is that. Thanks for watching.